Okay, I'll be.
So, first of all, let me assert my firm belief that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Nameless, unreasoning, unjustified fear that paralyzes. This is Franklin D. Roosevelt, 32nd President of America, at his first inaugural address on March 3, 1933. Franklin D. Roosevelt played an instrumental role in knitting back together a country that was in the midst of its biggest crisis since the Civil War, the Great Depression. Our great-grandparents may have been part of the generation to suffer and to overcome the despairs, the type of despair that the American country had never encountered before. We will discuss the foundation of President Roosevelt, the context of the difficult era in which he strove valiantly to bring about hope and restoration, and how his first inaugural address served as a catalyst for launching the United States into a period of hope and reform. In order to understand more about the essence and impact of Roosevelt, we need to take a closer look at his background. President Roosevelt's upbringing and experiences paved the road for his presidency and success. Franklin Delano Roosevelt was born in Hyde Park, New York on January 30th, 1882. He was born into a wealthy family, was educated very well, and went on to attend Harvard University. Soon, however, he fell victim to a very severe illness. At age 39, Roosevelt was diagnosed with polio, and at this time, the outcome of those types of diseases was very dismal. Despite his initial reluctance and sense of doom, his political career was coming to a halt. His encouraging wife, Eleanor, helped him to learn to live and lead, although he was paralyzed from the waist down. Not to let his physical disabilities affect his dream, Roosevelt continued with his political career. FDR was voted New York State Senator in 1910 and later founded the U.S. Naval Reserve. As a Democratic candidate, Roosevelt defeated Herbert Hoover in the 1932 presidential election and became the 32nd President of the United States. While many have disagreed with the role and decisions made by Roosevelt, one must admire his resilience and courage of beginning his presidency by addressing the nation at such a difficult time. As President Roosevelt initiated what was the peak of his political career and influence, he was confronted with one of America's greatest challenges in all of history, the Great Depression. The Great Depression refers to an era after the stock market crashed in 1929. The result of this was employment falling, the banks had too many loans, agriculture was suffering, and the prices of stocks reached incredible peaks. Roosevelt presented his inaugural address 3 years after the market had crashed, and not much had improved, with over 15 million unemployed. According to an article from History.com presented by A&E Television Networks in 2009. During his inaugural address, Roosevelt pinpointed several things that would later improve the economic and moral health of the nation. Standing before thousands of Americans who were anxious, depressed, and clinging to hope, Roosevelt delivered a speech that was both inspiring and riveting, direct and promising. What was Roosevelt to do in the White House, and how was the government supposed to play a helping hand in healing America? He promised that the U.S. government would have a greater hand in creating new jobs, organizations, and policies to incentivize economic development. These thoughts and propositions will later become part of the New Deal, which immensely helped the U.S. economy and people for a short period of time. This was done by incentivizing farmers, for example, paying them a certain amount to have more crops available. So how did Roosevelt encourage the dissatisfied, saddened Americans? He accepted the damages and horrific state of the nation, but also emphasized that much of the Depression issues were actually due to the psychological weakness of the American people. He encouraged them to focus on small achievement and not just money. It was time to look at smaller goals, not the overall picture. When Roosevelt cited the familiar oath, "This is time to speak the truth, the whole truth, frankly and boldly," this both perked people's memories and, as David Huck from Golder Lehrman Institute of American History noted on June 3rd, 2013, that unlike Hoover, Roosevelt pledged to tell the nation the truth, even if it was unpleasant or disagreeable. Their witness to that oath secured an important new bond between leader and the led. In conclusion, it is clear that Roosevelt's speech played an important role in encouraging the American people and jump-starting the reform of the New Deal. The ability to deliver such a powerful and uplifting speech during one of the darkest times in American history is something that is admirable and courageous. Despite many contrary views on Roosevelt's emphasis on government intervention, his positive disposition was key to healing a broken nation. Despite his disability due to a severe illness, He persevered. And despite the difficulty of the trials ahead, Roosevelt instilled confidence and strength, which is what America needed. This was done in part by declaring near the end of his speech, quote, "I assume unhesitatingly the leadership of this great army of our people dedicated to a disciplined attack upon our common problems." Why was this such an impactful statement? Because really, it's not what others do for us, but what we do for others in our country that really matters. Thank you.